With the sky stretched out like a wet blanket from end to end over the city, an unusual dry season downpour threatens to dampen spirits. But nothing short of a world war stops the carnival.
The portrayal of Saragossa is based on the events that took place in the city of Saragossa in 714 AD. Basically, I chose that theme because it has a lot to do with a lot of human movement, and my masqueraders tend to feel a little more comfortable with that sort of thing. In addition to that, I like the idea of the merging of the two cultures, because in reality that is what happened at that period in time. You had the North African influence merging into Spain. But to begin with, the portrayal will have to be done against a Trinidad-style carnival. A lot of it has a lot to do with the type of scenario that we have here in Trinidad in terms of our carnival.
A moral code seems to have no place in Trinidad's carnival, as attested by an element dance called whining that has little to do with Bacchus, the god of wine, but dwells largely on sexual intoxication.
Whining is the short term for winding, and some of us seem to think that the whining has something to do with the drink too, and maybe it does. But I think that the way we walk, the way we move is something that's very natural to us. And there's no vulgarity attached to the whining. It's just something that we respond to when the music plays.
Rex Nettleford from Jamaica made an interesting parallel once. I heard him talk about, for example, the New York City Ballet having straight-up movements, the dance stances were very skyscraper-like, whereas the African stances had to do with the bottom sticking out, and it was a certain kind of sinuousness. And I certainly think that lifestyle and environment must affect the way in which the body is used.
As with the old Roman celebrations, Carnival is inextricably linked to the Christian church. Carnivale, or farewell to the flesh, precedes the Lenten season, but the view from the pulpit is usually not encouraging. Canon Winston Joseph of the All Saints Anglican Church in Port of Spain, though, enjoys participating in most events of the carnival. Canon Joseph follows in the footsteps of a Catholic priest who provoked the calypso. If the priest could play, who is me?
And the church has always been on a collision course with the culture, because there's this old archaic heresy called Gnosticism, where things of the flesh are sinful and things of the spirit are righteous and godly. And yet God became man and identified himself with matter. There was a problem between spirit and matter. Yet it is something that we can celebrate. And I take it biblically to that Jesus' first miracle was a wedding in Cana of Galilee. He turned water into wine. And my problem is, why are we at the churches, especially in the Episcopal Church, wanting to change the wine back into water? That Jesus celebrated life in all its splendor and glory. And we need to celebrate that which is beautiful. People need something that release psychological valve to just free up. You know what's wrong with that? And there's a pride and a joy to know this is our thing. And we will show the world what we can do in this little island of ours.
The question often asked during the carnival are, how are costs recouped? Who benefits?
Our music costs nearly $500,000. We can't even say we get money out of it. For me, anyhow, it's more love and commitment, and it's part of our culture. It's part of me. Without Carnival, I don't know what I will do for the couple of months. But what we have is 28 sections in the band, about 2,000 participants, of beautiful gemstones, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, topaz, diamonds, peridots, very colorful. Jewels give you an inspiration, life, beauty. It signifies love.
the income from Carnival needs to be identified. The money goes in the pockets of the people who are into transportation, the hotels, the people the concessionaires on the streets, the advertisers, the marketers of the soft drinks, the beers, the alcohol. Ways to get that filtered into the people who actually make the Carnival possible has to be devised. When it comes through the NCC and then back down to those people in the form of prize money, allocations or whatever, this is what has to be studied and this is what has to be harnessed.
There has been a small study recently released by a couple of eminent people from the University of the West Indies, in which they were able to quantify that the entertainment industry in Trinidad and Tobago contributes or causes quite a large circulation of funds, and that the Carnival period, the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival period, accounts for 90% of that circulation of finances in the economy. So I would say it's about 50 million US, 50, 60 million US. Carnival has a really serious role to play in terms of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. But you also have the creative aspect of our people coming out. The craftsman gets most of his income annually during the Carnival period. So once we come to terms with the fact that tourism causes an inflow of foreign dollars, increases your foreign reserve, and Carnival period causes the greatest occupancy rate in our hotels, we can see right away the kind of impact it is making on the national economy.
The mass is evolving into a new direction, and one has to keep the interest of the population. Today, you couldn't get people in a band if they have too much, let's say, weight to carry. And the band leader is very aware of that, and therefore the design takes that into consideration.
Everybody jump my way, everybody jump my way, everybody jump, and swing. Follow the leader, 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 follow the leader. Follow the leader, 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 follow the leader. Follow the leader, 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 follow the leader.
Not that I want to change Carnival. There are some Carnival presentations that I find not in keeping with my idea of Carnival. I mean, for example, the mass that Minstrel plays every year, I think is a fantastic theater on the street, but I don't see it as part of Carnival.
At last,